Hey everyone, it's Amber with Social Speak Network, and I'm so excited to have Gabrielle with us today. She is a freshly new freelancer that she started on one path and ended up on a completely different path. And I'm so excited for her to share your story today because I think it's going to be really encouraging to you guys on if you think you're going to do one thing and life throws at a completely different thing and you just go for it, it works out. So Gabrielle, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so thanks, Amber. I'm so excited to be on the show with you guys. And so I originally got my undergrad in ag science, agriculture science, and I wanted to be a cattle nutritionist. And the last term of my undergrad, I took a marketing class and absolutely loved it. And it was actually I thought, okay, I'm the ag student in the class. All these other students are business students. They know what they're talking about. I don't. And there was one point towards the end of the course that we were doing this big group project together, and I was throwing out ideas and they kept getting shot down, and I was like, okay, well, I just don't know what I'm talking about. And my professor, who had previously run a marketing agency, she pulled me aside and she was like, you get this. Your ideas are spot on. You really understand this. Don't let them shoot you down. And so she took me and made me the leader of the class for the group project and had me take over and, really encouraged me and guided me through that process. And I realized okay, I have a knack for this and I absolutely love this. So graduated, and then I decided to do my master's in business. I'm finishing that up right now. I actually only have one class left.
Oh,
and while I was doing my MBA, I originally got yeah, thank you. I got a job working at a doctor's office clinic while I was in school. That was horrible. So then I started selling insurance. Did that for about a year. Got a lot of good sales experience, but it was cold sales, not something I was enjoying. And so from there, I discovered, started playing around with social media, and so knew I wanted to do something in marketing. So I was trying to pick a focus and just fell in love with it, found a few courses and started doing internships. And then it really just took off from there.
Oh, that's awesome. So what made you decide? I mean, you had the insurance, which, like you said, gave you good sales experience. What made you start doing social media for yourself rather than searching for a social media manager position?
Yeah, so I actually did start out looking for social media manager positions, and I kept getting a lot of feedback of, you're not qualified, you don't have any experience, a lot of feedback that way. And I live in a rural community. I mean, the town I live in has 500 people. So I couldn't get a job where I live. So I was looking for things remotely, which was more difficult not having experience. So I found an online course that, kind of walked me through the process of getting internships and then learning to do social media for myself and to build my own social media management business. And so it just took off really, really fast from there. And I was learning really quickly and really loved it. So I did start originally looking for a position, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, that wasn't the path to go down for you.
Yeah.
So when you started your business, so you started how did you get your first clients, and how did you figure out, when we talk to freelancers, one of the biggest problems that they have is pricing. And I know that this is something that, Caitlin and I have struggled with over the past 10 years of us being a business of where do you start with that pricing, and how do you know your worth? So how did you figure out your pricing, and where did you find some of your first clients?
Yeah, so I started out doing things for free to get experience. So I started out with a couple internships because at that point I was still selling the insurance, and I knew that this was something I wanted to learn how to do, but I didn't have the confidence to just jump in and start charging for it. And I think part of being younger and being a student, I just didn't really feel like I was in a position to do that. So I did a few free internships for a month, and then I started to use LinkedIn. And I started to just go through and connect with people, send out messages, ask if they were wanting help with their social media, connecting with founders and CEOs of companies. And even just once I started getting active on LinkedIn, I started having people reach out to me. And I got my first full client in January. So I'd started doing the internships in November, got my first client in January. And then from there, got 3 more clients from LinkedIn, had somebody else on LinkedIn contact me for a part-time internship position that was paid. So I took that, they turned into a client within a month, and then it was just the leads kept coming in. So LinkedIn is so powerful. Like, I cannot even stress that enough. It's amazing.
That is so awesome. I know, I love LinkedIn. I feel is one of those platforms that is usually overlooked with business owners because they think it's if they left corporate, that's their corporate the resume on there, and if you're a small business owner, sometimes you're like, well, I don't need a job. I'm not going to be on LinkedIn, but the power of LinkedIn is amazing. I mean, so you just started kind of connecting with people. Were you looking in certain areas, or were you just looking at the people you may know that popped up and connecting with them?
Yeah, so what I did is I went through and specifically targeted cities that I knew had a higher income than where I was located. I'm located in Northeast Oregon. There's not very many companies around here. I do have some local clients, absolutely adore and love working for them. But I knew I wanted to grow a business and be able to charge more, and I couldn't do that locally. So I started searching for founders and CEOs and people that were second connections to the connections that I had. And so I just started, and I target, like San Francisco, New York, Austin, like bigger cities where I knew there was more startup businesses. So.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So then from there, did you have when you were starting to look at your pricing, you had a lot of kind of free work in the beginning, and then the internships, did that help you figure out what those prices should look like?
Yeah, definitely. It kind of started to help me realize, what people are willing to pay, what my time's worth. And I did originally start out charging too little. And so then I had way too much work, and I was not getting paid what I needed to be getting paid for what I was doing. And so I kind of reevaluated, had some clients sell up into upper or to larger packages, was able to get rid of a few clients that just really weren't, they were ready to stop doing it for their business too, but just weren't at the price point that was sustainable for my business.
Yeah.
And so then I worked into minimum pricing, and, I do everything on retainer, so I don't do anything hourly, but I still try to make sure that my time is, I'm being accommodated properly for my time.
Yep. So. That is such an amazing thing that you have learned in not even a year of running a business. I mean, I think that that's something that people really struggle with, is knowing what their worth is. And when you start, I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting out at lower rates, because it does give you that experience. But over time, it's, the hardest thing is growing them, as you grow and you learn and you evolve, having those clients come along with you, and that they see that worth as well. So they're not always paying this small retainer, but getting more and more and more each month. So that's such an amazing thing that you've already learned. And that's going to be huge as you grow your business. And your clients see that too.
Yeah, I think something else that's really important with that too is people take you more seriously when you take yourself and your time more seriously. So, if you start out with really low prices, I've actually seen, when I first started out, people that would just totally overlook my proposal or not get back to me or whatever, because my prices were so low. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to get the quality of work that I need if that's her price point. And, it's a good thing to set, okay, this is where I want to be, charge those prices. Worst case scenario, somebody that really wants to work with you, they're going to come back and say, hey, I can't afford that. And maybe you set up a payment plan to where you grow them to where they need to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, people take it a lot more seriously when you charge.
Yep.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yeah. So what has been one of the biggest obstacles that you have gone through so far?
Yeah, so probably one of the most difficult things so far has been figuring out, as you get new clients and everything, your workload increases. And so as I get more clients, figuring out that tipping point between, okay, when do I need to get help? How much of this can I put on myself? And with having that work-life balance, because it's really easy when you start a new business, you're trying to build your business, your clients' businesses, and it's really easy to just become a workaholic and work all the time. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is keeping that work-life balance of, okay, I need to turn the computer off, leave my phone, go for a walk, go work out, have that balance has probably been the most difficult thing. And over the past 3 months, I've really been starting to focus on, okay, how do I unplug? How do I keep my balance, keep that client load where it needs to be to where I'm not, working all the time and really stressed out, because also it's a disservice to my clients if I have so much work and I'm so stressed out that I'm not doing the quality of work that I could be. So I'm trying to figure out that balance point's probably been the most difficult thing.
Yes. Well, and as soon as you think you have it, then something changes or something comes up and, life happens. But it's something I tend to be more of that workaholic personality. I love working. I love, checking my emails on my phone. I'm always, involved in the business. And Caitlin, the one thing I love about her is, she can unplug, and that is a quality that I am like, I need, she'll go on her walk. She'll go on vacation. She's like, hey, everything's done. I'm not checking email. And I'm like, that is so amazing. So again, learning that at such a young age and early point in your business, I mean, that's just going to carry you even further because your clients respect that. I mean, in the beginning for us, we had clients calling us at, I'm not kidding you, all hours of the night. My phone, I'd get a text message at 11 p.m. or a call on a Saturday. And when I started, I was answering those. And so setting those boundaries, letting your clients know, here's what's expected of you and here's what's expected of them. And that's where, that respect comes in and you're able to unplug and know that everything's taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. The boundaries is so, so important because it can get out of control really quick.
Right. Yeah. So what does your onboarding process look like when you get a new client? What's that process look like for you?
Yeah, so what I do is normally we set up, an initial call to figure out launch. I put together a social media strategy for them and go through, okay, where do you want to be? Let's set out a 3-month plan, get you there, run that through with them, just make sure we're all on the same page. And then we usually just set a launch date. And then obviously, getting their account information, getting payment set up. I always do payment in advance just because there is the risk as a freelancer of, you can do a month's worth of work and not get paid. So I never work without being paid first. Set up contracts, obviously sign proposal, and then just go ahead and dive in. And what I usually do is with everybody, for the first week, you're really learning their brand voice, their following, and getting in a groove with them. So what I do is I set up, initial check-in calls for the end of the week. And for that first week, it's really, I say, like a testing time because I want to get a feel for their audience, make sure that, and test out different types of content, different strategies, and then really keep a dynamic strategy for that first month to get them where they want to be, but also make sure we're staying nimble with what's happening on their social.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good to have that process and figure out. I think that's one hard thing with a social media manager is when you work with somebody that you know, like, and trust, and you build that relationship with that really does understand your voice. I mean, that's where you see that social media go from, just a one-way street to a two-way street because as a social media manager, you're putting in the work, and as a client, you're seeing those conversations happening, that engagement, because it should be pretty seamless where the audience isn't going to know if it's a social media manager or the company.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So have you, we talked about this a little bit on the phone when we chatted the first time. Have you started looking at a niche market of who you want to work with, or have you just kind of diving into a few things to see what you like the most?
Yeah, so currently I'm not niching down. I have a variety of my clients are in a variety of different industries, from everything of machine learning, online courses. I have wedding venue, e-commerce. It's just senior living, a variety of things. So I don't want to niche down yet because I really enjoy learning about all the different industries. And what's more important to me is working with somebody who's super passionate about their business, is ready to grow, and is excited, and they just need my help in being the fuel to feed their fire. And so I found that there's not really, a specific industry, I guess, that's pretty broad. And so that's who I really want to attract right now. But I do have my background in ag science. And so I have a lot of knowledge of that industry. So of course I'd love to work with people in that industry, but I'm not specific.
Yeah,
so
that's good. I think it's good to get your feet wet in a lot of different industries. That's what we've done for 10 years. And we're just now okay, I think we may want to niche down a little bit and find out who we want to work with. But having that experience of working with so many different types of businesses, it just allows you, like, you're always learning and you never get bored. I mean, I think of like corporate America and I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I could do the same thing for 30 years. And that's kind of the beauty with what we do is it's not the same every day. You're always learning something new.
Yeah. And it's so exciting too. I mean, there's industries and businesses that I didn't even know existed, and so just getting to learn about their business and help their business grow and, learn their customer. And it's really cool because if you're in, like you're saying, a corporate job, that one industry that you're in and you don't get exposure to anything else. So it's been really cool just getting a broad sample of just everything that's out there.
Awesome. And are there any tools that you are using right now that assist you in your social media management or in your freelancing business?
Yeah, so a couple that I really love to use are Candly, which is an online scheduler for calls. So that I have that on my LinkedIn, and I use that to let people schedule calls with me. I love that. I use Boomerang for follow-up emails. Absolutely love that too. So it notifies me if, somebody hasn't responded in like a week or two. And then I also can schedule out follow-up emails. So I can schedule it out for like a week later, so I'm not having to remember, because there's just so much following up to do. It's really hard to keep track of that. And then for my social media business, I love using Later for Instagram and Facebook. And then I use Hootsuite a lot too. Okay. And so those are the two schedulers that I bounce back and forth between. And then obviously, like Canva for graphics and that stuff. I mean, those are all just amazing.
So have you tried using Buffer before?
Yeah, okay. I have used Buffer. I don't like it as much, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, it still works. It does the job.
Yep, I know. It's so funny. Like there's so many different tools that you can try, and it's such a personal preference because I love how Hootsuite is set up. I think it's just user-friendly, and I like all the options you can use with Twitter, and I like how it schedules to Instagram. And but Buffer we use too for clients, but it's just kind of that personal preference of which one you like better.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if there was one piece of advice that you would give to a person that is thinking of starting a freelance business, what would that be?
I think to start out, it would be to become visible. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to share your business with your friends, to start a business page. Because for me, that was probably the hardest thing starting out was like, I don't feel confident in this yet. I don't want to put it out. It's not ready yet. Right. Get a website together, put your social media together, and then start reaching out to people. I mean, if you're in a service-based business, use LinkedIn, reach out to people, connect with people. You have no idea. I mean, all you need really is to be one or two steps ahead of your client. You just need to know a little bit more than them to be super valuable to them, and you might think, oh, I don't know enough, but you know way more than they do. And then that makes you valuable. So I think just not being afraid, being visible, putting yourself out there is the biggest thing.
I love it. And that's, what takes us maybe 30 minutes or an hour to do, our clients have been searching for and spending hours and hours trying to figure out how to make an Instagram a business account or how to set up that page. And so you're right, just knowing a little bit more, I mean, that is your value, and being able to put yourself out there. I think that's a hard thing is, sometimes we get so stuck behind the screen that it's hard to kind of go out, and whether that's networking or just reach out online to people. I mean, it's called social media, social networking for a reason. And so it's interesting that people are very afraid of doing that and putting themselves out there. So that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, as soon as I started doing that, I had tons of leads coming in and my business really grew. So yeah.
I love it. And are you currently accepting or bringing on new clients?
Yeah, right now I am. I'm looking for probably 1 to 2 more over the next couple months, and, obviously keeping that balance. But yeah, I am looking for a couple more right now.
Okay. And if anyone is interested in your services, where can they go to find you?
Yeah, so they can go to my LinkedIn profile. It's Gabrielle Crumley. They could email me at gabriellecrumley@gmail.com. Or my social media is Rielle Social. So it's RIELLE Social. It's just the second half of my name. So yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today, Gabrielle, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.